Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to News Dose. And first off, thank you all for the well wishes yesterday. I was a little under the weather, and truth be told, I always hate not making videos. I feel like I'm letting thousands of people down. So, just to hear you all wish me the best, it really does mean a lot to me. No worries, though. I'm good to go now. So, you know what? Let's just go ahead and get right into this. We have a PlayStation patent to talk about today that is causing quite a bit of controversy. The question of what's the point to games definitely rings a bell here. So we're going to get into all of that today. Then also the rise of the Fallout series continues. I mean, we've seen the effect that movies and shows can have on games a few different times, but just wow, this is impressive stuff, though it does come with its own hot takes as well. Did Xbox and Bethesda introduce a brand new problem? Because it seems like there is a belief that they did. Before we get started, though, do make sure to hit that subscribe button if you like this type of content. If you want more daily gaming news dose videos delivered right to your device, then hit those buttons. With that said, though, let's just go and jump right into things, starting off with Stellar Blade. This is a game that's been on my radar really since it was first announced back in like 2020 when it was called Project Eve. It's been a long road, but it'll be out later this week, actually in just a couple of days. So let's go. But one of my biggest concerns with its launch really has been with its reviews. With all the controversy around this game, I was legitimately concerned that certain critics wouldn't necessarily be genuine. And truth be told, I really do believe that's still the case. I've seen certain reviews complain about the main character and how she looks. Metro Game Central, I'm looking at you. You're an embarrassment to gaming. But at the end of the day, despite the controversy and despite some of the complaints, Stellar Blade still managed an 82 overall score on Metacritic and an 84 on OpenCritic. Truthfully, it might have actually deserved even higher scores than that, which is kind of sad to even speculate on. I really shouldn't have to question the authenticity of reviewers, but sadly, that's where we are in today's world. There's just certain emotional agendas that some people can't separate themselves from, but the fact that Stellar Blade still managed to get high scores despite all of that, I think really speaks to how good this game is. And that's something that I really have to applaud Shift Up for. This was their first big console game, and for it to be as good as it is, that's quite impressive. I think it also really shows you the talent over in South Korea. We got Lies of P last year and now Stellar Blade as well, so it definitely seems like there's a lot of talent from that region, and I hope to see plenty more from them. Either way, big congrats to Shift Up, and really just congrats to players alike, because it looks like you have a good game to play later this week. Now, we also got an update for Perfect Dark. Yeah, I know it's been a little while since we've gotten an update for this game. They first announced it, back in like 2020, and we've not really heard much since. We've really only heard about the internal workings of the studio and some problems that they've had, but today we actually got a legitimate, and may I add, a very welcome update. According to a job listing for the initiative, they're searching for a technical art director that can get the highest visual quality of Unreal for each platform for both performance and quality engine modes. So what this tells us is that they're likely working on a 60 frames per second performance mode, and yeah, okay, we can say no duh. This is a shooter, and 60 FPS just makes sense for Perfect Dark. And okay, I agree with that, but the thing about this generation is that there really seems to be no guarantee. Just because it seems logical doesn't mean it's actually going to happen. Xbox themselves have released several first-party games without that 60 frames per second option, including Starfield, the upcoming Hellblade 2, and then probably the most egregious being Redfall. Now, Redfall eventually got a 60 FPS update, and it's a much better game today than what it originally was. But that game is a first-person shooter, and it still launched without 60 FPS. So all I'm trying to say here is that there is no guarantee. So it's best not to assume without evidence, and I think that's why this update is fantastic news. Now we can kind of rest easy knowing that there's a pretty good chance that Perfect Dark will have a 60 frames per second option. Woohoo, right? Now, speaking of Xbox, let's just go ahead and talk about Fallout. The resurgence for this series has truly just been wow. It's crazy to see how the Amazon show has impacted the Fallout series. And so far, we've seen some loose data from things like concurrent players over on Steam, and that alone has been impressive. Well, it just got a whole lot more impressive because Bethesda gave us an official update, and check this out. They said, thank you to the over 1 million of you who adventured with us in Fallout 76 in a single day, and almost 5 million across all Fallout games in a single day. Yeah, I'm going to repeat that. 5 million in a single day, which, I mean, you have to realize there hasn't been a brand new Fallout game since 2018. Yet here we are in Fallout 4, which, that's a game that released back in 2015, a 9-year-old single-player game, and it's currently the 5th most played game on Steam as of the recording of this video. It has more than 100,000 players currently, as we speak, which is absolutely unheard of. In fact, there's actually 3 different Fallout games in the top 30 most played Steam games, including Fallout New Vegas and Fallout 76 as well. So to say this Fallout Amazon show has been a success for Xbox and Bethesda is, probably a little bit of an understatement. This has absolutely catapulted Fallout to that next level, and I mean, it was already popular as is, but now it's truly reached a completely new level of recognition. The only problem with all of this, and I've seen some people bring this up, is that the timing of the show is a little bit strange in the sense that there won't be a brand new mainline Fallout game until like the 2030s. Bethesda's next game is going to be The Elder Scrolls 6, and that's probably still years away. So, I mean, we're probably talking about another 6 or more years before we get the eventual Fallout 5. So that begs the question of whether or not they can truly capitalize on all of the hype that we're seeing right now, and I think that's a fair question to ask. It's something that I've loosely mentioned in previous videos as well. But I guess my take on that is, let's see what Xbox has planned for their summer showcase. While I'm not expecting a brand new Fallout game per se, there was, however, a leaked document from the FTC versus Microsoft case last year, and it revealed that Bethesda at one point was, planning a Fallout 3 remaster for 2024. Now, it's hard to say if those documents are still accurate. I mean, we have to wait and see, but if they actually do release a remake of sorts in 2024, then I think they'll truly capitalize on that success. Depending on what type of upgrade it gets, that could potentially be a very big game for them that could push a lot of units on PC, and it could also push a lot of Game Pass subscriptions as well. Fallout 3 is debatably one of the best in the series. So for me, I hope this turns out to be true. What I'll say about all of this, though, is that the Fallout Amazon series isn't over. Yes, Season 1 is done, but Season 2 already got the green light, so they could potentially have an extended window of this reoccurring hype with each new season. And that's important because that gives Xbox and Bethesda more time to push out new games if they want to. Hypothetically, they could do some different spin-offs if they wanted to, or let's say they could do a New Vegas remaster, or hey, what about Obsidian Entertainment? Avowed will be finished this year, so technically Obsidian Entertainment will have a team freed up here sometime soon. Sure, I mean, they could do a New Vegas remaster, and that would kind of tide us over until the eventual Fallout 5, but what if they also worked on a New Vegas sequel? That's something that fans have been wanting for a very, very long time. That's one of the beautiful things about Bethesda and Obsidian Entertainment being under the same umbrella now. This does open up the possibility for a New Vegas sequel, which we have heard rumors in the past that there is some interest within Obsidian. So, who knows? My entire point about all of this, though, is that there's plenty of different possibilities for new Fallout games. That's not necessarily Fallout 5. It's really just a matter of how long those games will take, but, those remasters at the bare minimum could tide people over until then if they truly are working on something like that. I guess if anything, let's just go and keep our eye on that Xbox Summer Showcase for a hopeful Fallout 3 remaster. Alright, so moving on here, a new PlayStation patent surfaced online, and this has caused quite a reaction, and you can simply read here and understand why. Sony patented autoplay game mode. The mode could allow players to skip over selected gameplay segments. Now, the way this is worded, it sounds truly ridiculous to me. Like, it honestly sounds like they're trying to turn their games into movies. And that's a long time PlayStation criticism anyways. A lot of their games already feels similar to movies in certain ways. So this would kind of lean right into that stereotype. I mean, the thing that a lot of people are bringing up, though, is what's the point of even playing a game if you're not actually going to play it, right? It just sounds kind of bizarre. And truth be told, I'm not a huge fan of dumbing down games too much in general. I'm going to use God of War Ragnarok as an example here. That's a great game, don't get me wrong, but something that really annoyed me about Ragnarok is that they would give you the answer to its puzzles pretty much immediately. Like, why even include puzzles at all if you're just going to give the answer away? Either include them or don't. And if you are going to include them, at least make it an option to turn off the answers for gamers who actually enjoy, playing the game. I don't know. Modern game design, I guess. But when you actually read this patent, does the context line up with the headlines? Well, this is what the actual patent says. Although game developers strive to make video games exciting and interesting to play over the course of the entire game, players typically find some portions of a video game less exciting or less interesting to play than other portions of the game. For example, some players might find a video game less exciting to play during a portion of the game in which the players are required to perform repetitive tasks. Other players might be less interested in playing a portion of a video game that involves a quest they do not like. Still, other players might be less interested in playing a portion of a video game which is not compatible with the player's skill set. Each of these scenarios can adversely impact a player's enjoyment of the video game. It is in this context that embodiments arise. So, I mean, yeah, there it is. It actually lines up perfectly with the headlines. This would give players the option to flat out skip sections of the game. Let's say somebody is struggling with an Elden Ring boss as an example. Well, if this patent were to come true, they could simply skip the boss entirely. I don't know. I could act like this is a good idea, but no. I don't like this. It's not for me, personally, to say the least, but, that's why I'm going to ask you all as well. What do you all think about this patent? Is it a good idea, or are you like me and you just find this to be ridiculous? Now, do keep in mind, though, that patents are not a guarantee to come true. It's something that they're thinking about, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to come to fruition. Now, one last thing that I want to quickly talk about here, though, is Metaphor Refantazio. Atlas dropped an overview for this game, and they were quite extensive. It was roughly a 25-minute long stream, and if you're interested, I highly encourage you to check it out. I'll go ahead and drop a link in the description below, but based on what I've seen, I like where they're going with this game. You can tell that it has connections with the Persona series. It is from the creators of Persona after all, and some of the gameplay ideas and the art style translates over to Refantazio. It, however, is still different at the same time. It's much more action-based than the Persona series, and just in general, the setting is more unique compared to that typical high school setting that we're so used to seeing. So really, I'm actually more interested in this game than what I already was, and good thing because we also got an official release date as well. It will be out on October 11th. Go ahead and mark your calendars, and this also includes a $150 collector's edition if that's something that you want to get. If you're interested in that, keep an eye out, but in the meantime, I just hope this game proves to be as good as the Persona series. So far, I feel like it has potential, and I'm glad to see they're doing something different, but ultimately, I just kind of hope it pays off for them. Anyways, though, that's going to be it for this episode, but definitely let me hear your thoughts about the Fallout and PlayStation patent situations. But until next time, peace out.